Hi Becky, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good, yeah. So we're just going to do a bit of a kind of Q&A, but just a general kind of chat about how to manage having fitness goals alongside being a mum. So if you don't know, I'm Katie. I've been online coaching for sort of over 4 years now. Becky and I started working together in January this year, so it's been about 7 months now.
Oh my God, yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
crazy. But yeah, Becky is a mum of two, and she's been achieving a lot of fitness goals over the year. So we just thought it'd be a great kind of opportunity to just chat about how you manage your goals alongside being a mother. Obviously, I've got great experience, training women who are mothers and obviously working with them over the years, but I'm not a mother myself. So I thought it'd be a great insight to actually chat with one and to help, anybody, any of you mothers out there who might be struggling with anything, just to kind of give you that extra point of view as well. So, I mean, kick it off, Becky. Tell us a little bit about you. Obviously, your training over the years, obviously your children, your family. Kick it off.
Yeah. My training has been up and down, I'd say, over the years. Before kids, I was a cardio queen, as they used to call me. I loved training. I trained for a marathon. I did Ironmans. I did all sorts. I was really dead into my fitness. And then it dipped a little throughout my maternity leave when with my first, Oliver. I trained a little bit throughout pregnancy, but I didn't really know what I could do, what I couldn't do. So I did dip. And I've just kind of been up and down, really. I never really kind of stuck in what I'm doing like right now. So I think I just wanted to get back into that. I think for me, when after I had Isabel, my second daughter, I kind of struggled with my anxiety a little bit. And ultimately for me, I wanted a bit of weight loss. So I kind of got back into training that way. And I obviously noticed changes through weight loss, but I also noticed changes like physically, mentally myself. Like it helped my anxiety so much. And then I kind of wanted to have more of a structure, which is where yourself came in. I really wanted to have someone to kind of push me, give me more like insight into like nutrition, into training, just so I could like do it right. And it just really did like kickstart my goal and like my love for running all over again. And I just kind of went back to being literally like what I was when I was younger, just a fitter, stronger, healthier version of myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say my like fitness journey has just been up and down, but definitely like the best it's ever been now, and I couldn't be prouder of that really, to be fair. Because I am in, like I say, it's just I am better, fitter, and stronger than what I was 10 years ago, which is wild, really.
Yeah. And like you say, you're now doing that with a family, with,
Mhm.
children to take care of as well.
Yeah.
And how old are your children now?
My oldest is 5, and my youngest is just more or less turned 2. So yeah, they are only little.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I
Which
guess have you found it easier as they've kind of gotten older or?
as they've gotten older, definitely. When I was on maternity leave with Isabel, it was challenging, definitely, because obviously she's not at nursery. I am like her main carer, if you would will.
Mhm.
And ultimately, my partner does work away, so he wasn't always around on an evening. So I could say go to the gym or go for a run or whatever. So I pretty much relied on home workouts. I used to I would just work around it. Obviously, if I couldn't get out to do other things, I would find
Mhm.
alternatives. When home workouts and going for like brisk walks was my main form of training initially for quite a while until I obviously went back to work. Isabel went to nursery, Oliver was at school. And
Mhm.
then I found like a bit of a better routine, a better pattern to be able to kind of get out and do like different training. So yeah, obviously my mum, they say it takes a village to raise a kid. So my mum would help out. It still does help out. My auntie even helps out,
Mhm.
just so I could get out for a run and things like that. Even when I was on maternity leave, not everybody obviously does have that. So that was where the alternative home workouts and stuff did like help. I was able to do something and just kind of keep some form of like exercise going. But yeah, I definitely find it easier now that they're a little bit older.
Yeah. And I think that's important because especially when they are younger, like it's okay to not go to a gym, or it doesn't have to be, extreme workouts or in the gym, 5, 6 times a week. It's just about doing what fits around you. And I think, like you say, some weeks it might just be 2 workouts you can get in, other weeks it might be 3 or 4. So I guess it's like you say, what kind of childcare you've got for that week and what time you've got available as well.
Yeah, definitely is. It is definitely kind of what suits you at that time. Like I heard it somewhere from like another man basically saying like it is your journey, and it's so true. Like it is your journey. I was constantly kind of comparing myself to like other mums or like people who didn't have kids and what they were doing, and I thinking I should be doing that. That is not the case. They're in a completely different area of their life or whatever it is. They have a different lifestyle. Um, like it is your journey. You've just got to do the what you can do with the time that you've got, with what works for you, and you've got to be realistic um to like yourself. Otherwise it just becomes a journey that you're not that happy with. And I experienced that myself, and when I just realized that and kind of went with what works for me, what I could do with the time that I had, it just made life so much easier, and I enjoyed the journey so much more. So yeah.
Yeah, I think comparison is a huge one because,
Mhm.
like you say, I have some clients who compare themselves to, women who aren't even mothers. And I'm like, you need to, realize that straight away because you're going to have a lot more commitment going on than, say,
Mhm.
someone who isn't a mother. Um, and I think even if you're comparing yourself to kind of fitness influencers who are mums and they promote being a mum, but you've also got to realize that, they might have a lot more, again, childcare that they've got. They have a lot more time because if their job is to be online and to be present, like they're going to have a lot more free time in that
Yeah.
sense. Again, it's recognizing, like you say, what you've got available and how you can fit it around you. So yeah, that's a really, really important point.
Mhm.
And did you find, what would you say has been the like biggest barrier to you, when you're trying to kind of get into the routines or trying to reach your goals?
um I'd say initially, I actually suffered, like I say, a little bit from anxiety, postnatal depression. It wasn't as bad as what some mums can get, but it was still there. So I think initially I was my own main barrier. And I know a lot of the mums and like the hormone side of things that can kind of relate. Initially, I was my main own barrier. I just didn't feel like I had the time. I felt like I was constantly trying to get on top of other things. Um, and I think sometimes I just needed to kind of sit back, create my little to-do list, get things done, and then just carve out, even if it was like 15 minutes or whatever it was, just to get a workout done. Or
Mhm.
even if it was like an hour, like around nap time, if it was an hour, I would go for a walk and she would, like my little girl would nap while I was on the walk. I was getting some form of exercise done. And I feel like that thought that helped that those barriers in general. But yeah, I feel like I was my main barrier myself, just purely because I just felt like I didn't have enough time, when really that there you can always have like a little bit of time. I'm not saying every single day is going to be the same, but I just kind of found ways to get around it, if that makes sense. Because for me, like working out is a non-negotiable. Like it helps me in so many different ways, like physically, mentally. Um, it keeps my stress levels and everything down. So
Mhm.
I just found different ways of being able to do it and having that little bit of time, like 15-minute kind of hit workout on YouTube is better than doing nothing at all. That was kind of the way I looked at it initially. And that's what really helped me just get to where I am now, really.
And I think that's really important because, it sounds like you weren't just focusing on the physical aspect of what fitness could do for you, it was actually the mental
Yeah.
aspect. And I think, again, as new mums, obviously, your body changes so much through pregnancy that, the majority of women after pregnancy, what's their main goal? It's weight loss. It's to lose, any weight they might have gained through pregnancy. So would you say you kind of face that as well, or would you say actually you still saw exercise mainly for those mental benefits?
No, definitely in the beginning, my pure focus, like if you were to ask me, it was solely like weight loss.
Mhm.
But if you were to ask me on a deeper level, like subconsciously or whatever, it was definitely like also to help me mentally as well as like physically. I wanted to be a fitter, healthier version of myself.
Mhm.
And once I, like I say, I got into the running side of things, I really did just enjoy it, and I wanted to be able to get back to how like to what I could run. I did set myself a very early goal of being able to run a half marathon again. I've already done that, so I'm very chuffed with that. But initially, yes, it was just weight loss, but it is so much bigger than that. And I think not everybody kind of looks at it that way, which is fine. But there is definitely more to exercising than weight loss, 100%.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I completely get that. And I think, like you say, it's always it's okay to have those sort of aesthetic goals. And like I said, because your body changes so much, you're
Yeah,
if you especially if you don't train for exercise or you go through any complications, like it's gonna take time to get back into that. And I mean, what I've kind of found is, you know, women are quite fixated on just losing the weight or getting back down. And then that's when like the pressure arises that they're
yeah,
not seeing all the weight drop off. And it's like, well, why isn't it happening? But then like you say, if you're not forming the habits or enjoying the kind of process or working around what you've got, then it's going to be so much harder
yeah,
to
yeah,
actually achieve
definitely.
that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I went through a similar motion. Like you, I felt like I came to a bit of a plateau, and I wasn't seeing any changes. But really, I was becoming stronger. I was able to run for longer. I was able to lift heavier. Like all of these other things, like went into it,
Mhm,
and I kind of like lost sight of that a little bit. And it is as well. Like other mums will might be able to relate, but it's something that you have that is yours, outside of obviously being a mom. Obviously, I love my kids. They are my little best friends, but it's nice to just have like that kind of bit like that exercise, that bit of time, that bit of self-care, however you want to call it. But for me, it's a bit of me time. I get to chill for 2 hours and run. And not many people put those two things together, but that is just my kind of time to
mhm,
just listen to my music and just be outside and just have my time. So yeah, there's other factors into it for me personally, especially now.
mhm. And I've got to ask, do you ever kind of feel a little bit of guilt or a little bit of, oh, I shouldn't really be doing this. I should be with my kids instead?
All the time in capital letters, all the time. I had constant mum guilt. I still get it now. I've learned to not have it as much because it is the ultimate like stop for me. Everything, even just in anything in general, though it's not even fitness. Just if I want to do other things, but yeah, massively all the time. Like if I wanted to go to the gym and I wanted to do, I don't know, a little bit of a longer session, I'm always like, looking at, oh, actually, I need to get back. I need this, I need that. It's bedtime. Like, it's okay. But yeah, all the time, you've got so many different things running in your head. Like, did I do this? Did I do that? Did I do that? Like, yeah, so many other things that go on in your mind when I'm doing like longer periods of training, especially now, which is my in my plan. So yeah, I did learn to just switch off because I think as well for me, it's healthy habits that I'm showing my kids. I am very passionate about running. I absolutely love it. It's I achieve different goals. I get medals. I enter races. Yeah, and I just feel like I am showing them healthy habits. And one day I really hope they want to join me when they're older and entering races and things like that. Yeah, I kind of the mum guilt started to drop off when I realized I was showing them healthier habits. And I'm kind of hoping they will pick up on that and either follow suit or want to do something else, and pick up the same kind of things.
Yeah. I think, like you say, it's not, whilst you're doing this for yourself, you're also doing it for the benefit of your children.
Mhm.
If you are
Yeah,
fitter, if you are stronger, you can do more with them. You
yeah,
can run around with them. You want to have the energy to play with them. So I
exactly.
guess, like
Yeah.
you say, it's about how you can benefit your family as well as
Mhm.
just yourself by keeping your physical health and your mental health still at its
Yeah.
best.
Yeah,
And
definitely. And it's the same with the food side of it as well. Like I'm just healthier in general in the house. We have like less bad snacks,
mhm,
which the kids can't reach. We
mhm,
all eat more fruit, even though they did it anyway. But it's just even more now. Like there's less of like the bad stuff in the house, and there's more of the good stuff in like the food wise. But yeah, it's just I'm healthier all around, so I
mhm.
can run around after them too.
Yeah. And just a bit on nutrition as well then. So again, some conversations I have with mums is, they find themselves just picking at their kids' foods and kind of forgetting to have their own meals. So is that something you've experienced? How have you kind of
Yeah.
overcome that?
It's so funny because it's yeah, it just must be like a thing like that all mums do. Because yeah, 100%, like, my kids would have, like, 3 meals a day and, like, fruit as snacks, where meanwhile, I'd be on, like, my 3rd rice cake of the day. I actually heard another mum on a podcast, she said exactly the same thing the other day, and it's so funny. I started laughing because it's so true. Like, I think even more so, especially when I was on maternity leave, because I was obviously at home every day. Now that I go to work, I do plan my meals a lot more. But yeah, it is bad when you think about it. But you kind of find yourself where, like, time gets away from you. You're doing other things. You're cleaning. You're doing this. You're doing that, and you almost kind of forget to eat, which is so weird and kind of like silly, but it is true. And I think since I started with yourself, like, coaching in January, um, I know to eat my meals. Obviously, having the, like, tracking my daily habits, that definitely helped. So if I didn't eat, I didn't have anything to put in, and I knew I had to put something in. So that I got into, like, a routine that way. But obviously, since training more, I'm definitely hungry more.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's hard initially when it comes to feeding yourself, which just sounds so strange, but yeah, I've had the same thing, definitely, especially in the beginning.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And I think, what are some ways that you found did help you kind of to overcome that and, have more of routine with food?
Um, I basically started, like, making my food with my kids, and I would eat with them. So when I'd made, obviously not so much Isabel in the beginning because she would eat a lot quicker than me, but when it came to making Oliver's breakfast, I would make mine with him and I would eat it with him. Um, and that's kind of how I would do it. So when they had food, I had food, and it
Mhm,
just became more of a habit. And then again, when I started, like, tracking my food a little bit more, it was just initially, like, more of like I just got into a better routine doing it that way.
mhm,
And again, when it came to the training side of things, training more, eating more, it just kind of, like, they coincided together. They just, if that makes sense, like, one became routine, so the other became routine.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, that's kind of what I did to get back into routine with it all when it came to actually feeding myself.
mhm. And how do you kind of handle any changes in routine? Because obviously children are a commitment. I mean, even before
Mm.
school, you were like, got a call from nursery, you had to go pick them up. So it's like, when
Yeah.
kind of things like that happen and that kind of messes up your plan, do
Yeah.
you have any tips about how to just kind of handle that and kind of accept it?
Um, I do now. If you asked me this a couple of months ago, I'd have said no, because I used to really find it hard. Like, I was getting into such a good routine, and then, like, say, mum life would kick in, or just life in general, would throw a curveball, and I would get out of routine, and I'd be like, oh no. And I really did struggle with it. But I kind of got to the point where it was just like, I'm a busy mom. I work part-time. I have 2 kids. I cannot help it.
Mhm,
These things do happen. It is not the end of the world. We can train tomorrow. We can train like 2 days later. It is okay. I would just kind of in a way, reassure myself that it is okay. You can't control everything, because I'm a bit of a control freak too. So I can't control everything. Life does throw random things. Sometimes I just had to go and do a food shop instead of going to the gym because there's no food in the house.
mhm,
I know that is just an example, but I think for me, yeah, it was just more so telling myself, we can just reschedule this. I would just basically, like, a rejig my plan. So I would go into my notes on my phone and see what workouts I'd already done that week, and just rejig and see if I could fit other things in, um, for the rest of the week, just so my plan would kind of go smoothly. Or I would do a home workout later on in the evening to get a workout in. That was kind of how I worked around it. I'm a
mhm.
lot better at doing it now than I was. That's just kind of what's helped me to, yeah, work around that if anything does change, because 9 times out of 10 it does.
Yeah, and I think it's
Yeah.
important to kind of move away from that kind of all or nothing mindset.
Yeah.
And like I say, if you can't get to the gym, that's okay. We can try and do a home workout.
Mhm.
If something happens or we can't do anything that day, then it's okay. We've got tomorrow. We've got the rest of the week. So
Yeah.
it's kind of removing from that, yeah, that mindset that you have to be perfect and
Yeah.
accepting, like you say, life is going to throw curveballs, and you're going to get out of routine. And it's about how you can kind of pick yourself back up and just, like you say, keep remembering the mental benefits of it. Because I
Yeah,
think,
yeah. It's almost like removing that pressure that you put on yourself, because I know I do it all the
Mhm,
time. So it's like taking that pressure off yourself, that
mhm,
if something does crop up, find an alternative plan. If you can't, try and do it the day later. Like just rejig that way. And that's what's really helped me, just taking that pressure off a little bit, because you can only do what you can do. There's really no need to add more pressure onto yourself.
I think that's, I've kind of found that mum do put a lot of pressure on themselves
Yeah.
to be the best mum, to be the best wife, to be the best in themselves. And
Mhm.
I guess it can get overwhelming,
Yeah,
especially.
definitely. Yeah, definitely. Like there was a lot, because especially like stay-at-home mums, or even working mums, like just mums that kind of do it all. It is a lot. So when you want something for yourself, and if especially if you do like routine like myself, like when it does go off course a little bit, it can be a little tough. But yeah, it's just about taking that pressure off and just trying to reroute as best as you can. And if you can't, then that's absolutely fine. We can just start again next week.
Mhm,
Like it's as long as you completely don't derail yourself, um, and it will be okay. Like it will fall back into place.
mhm,
So yeah, I feel like I've definitely got more of a handle on that now than what I did, for
mhm.
sure.
Amazing. And do you feel like there's any other kind of, I don't know, do you feel like there's anything else that as a mum you do find difficult, or you have found in the past something that you wish you had more help on or more guidance with?
Um, I think initially when I kind of came back to exercising, I'd say I wish I asked for help a little bit more when it came to the training side of things, because I really wanted to go out more. And I do have a very good support system. I'm very lucky for that. I know some people either live far from family or don't have family like local. And I do have that. And I tried to think I could do it all, when really sometimes just asking for 20 minutes to go out for a run wouldn't have been that far of a stretch for me. Like my mum would have been willing to help if she could have. So I think for me initially, I just kind of wish I asked for like that little bit more help, to get into a bit of a better routine, I guess. Um, yeah, I think that's what I would have done initially,
Mhm.
but I don't really think there was anything else I would have done differently. I mean, I've got to where I am. I went through my motions. I went through my routine. I got to obviously to where I was, and I feel like I wish I came across you quicker, because you've helped me loads when it comes to like fitness wise. Like my running's improved so much. So I probably wish I would have got in touch with you a little bit earlier.
Ah, I think, like you say, it does come down to the element of like asking for help and feeling
Mhm.
like it's hard. But I think,
Yeah.
I think as a mum, you've got so much to think about that sometimes you need someone or something to just take that off your
Mm,
shoulders so that you can relax and kind of what you're doing when it comes to X, Y, and Z.
mhm.
And even being a mum, I can imagine after your first, it was a bit like, oh my God, what do I do? Like even just in looking after the baby and
Yeah. To be fair, I think I felt like that the second time. I was, oh god, I have two now. What do I do?
yeah.
But yeah, like initially it's just the pressure of obviously like just being a mom, like having that, like keeping a house clean, etc., etc. Like that's enough pressure anyway. So putting pressure on yourself when it comes to like the fitness side, exercising, feeling like you have to do this, you have to do that.
Mhm,
That's probably as well something I would have. It's so much easier said than done, but I would have tried to have like relieved that pressure somehow,
mhm,
because I'm adding pressure on myself from all other angles. I don't need any added pressure from something else.
mhm.
Um, and it's hard. It is hard to do it all,
Yeah.
but it's so much worth it in the end. Like the pure joy that I get when it comes to going running and achieving like a new goal, fitness wise, is yeah, it's great. I really do like it.
Amazing. And I guess just quickly on, coming straight from birth, obviously, I don't feel like postpartum is talked about a lot in the kind of medical field. So, like, obviously, I know you see your midwife after, you have your 6 week check, you make sure everything's okay. But, do you feel like you had a lot of education on knowing how to kind of come out of the kind of birth, obviously with, pelvic floor, strengthening your core again, strengthening the pelvic floor, any kind of separation?
I personally was never told anything from both, um, pregnant, like, from both postpartums. There was nothing really told when it came to, like, any sort of, like, fitnessy side, or even just like you say, like, you get told to kinda do your pelvic floor a little bit, but nothing, it wasn't really spoke about in much detail or anything like that to me.
Mhm,
Um, so no, there isn't really much, just from my personal experience, there wasn't much knowledge given to me anywhere.
mhm.
I would have had to have found it out myself.
Yeah. I know I ask because
Yeah.
obviously when we work with women who are a lot kind of closer to just giving birth,
Mm.
obviously there's a lot of things that you have to work through with the strengthening, and they're just like, I had no idea that you have to actually, think about these sort of things and do your Kegels and, look at your ab separation and see if you have got it. So it's like, do you feel like you would like, you would have liked more education around the fitness side of stuff in that kind of.
Oh, 100%, definitely 100%. Because, like I say, when I was pregnant with my first, I exercised, but maybe like throughout the first trimester when I could.
Mhm,
But then after that, I didn't really do anything. I didn't really feel that great. I didn't really know what I could and couldn't do, because I know when it comes to like the weight side of things, you're meant to kind of drop weight a little bit and
mhm,
not do certain weights. Um, so absolutely, like, I think it is definitely important to have more information on stuff like that, especially for, I don't know, mums that maybe have just gotten into fitness or wanted to start getting into fitness, etc., and don't really know what to do throughout pregnancy. Even, I mean, myself, I did quite a lot of fitness the first time and didn't really know anything about exercising in pregnancy at all.
mhm.
So I think it would definitely be really helpful to have more knowledge on.
Yeah. And,
Mm.
do you feel like if you were to have like another child or anything, that you would have a different mindset going into that pregnancy and you would kind of train still and.
100%. I've said this because, I mean, I've contemplated having another another one. Um, it's kind of up in the air, but I would be completely different. I wouldn't. I'd basically just do what I do now. I would eat exactly the same. Obviously minus a few things I'm actually not allowed to eat,
Mhm,
and I would train exactly the same again, minus a few things that I'm not actually allowed to do. But I wouldn't change anything. It would be such a different pregnancy, because I did absolutely nothing when I had Isabel. When I was pregnant with Isabel, I lived the high life of putting my feet up on the couch and eating Cadbury's. And I thrived on that. I was quite happy to do that. I enjoyed my pregnancy
yeah.
and got to it afterwards. But it would be very, very different if I was to be pregnant again, 100%.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And then just one last question that's kind of popped to my head. Obviously, I know, especially as a new mum, obviously sleep goes out the window. We've already spoke about routine and everything goes out the window. So, did you feel like that had an effect on kind of your eating habits and your energy? And if so, like, how did you, how have you got any tips around that or for any new
Yeah,
mum in particular?
yeah, definitely. Obviously, there's even now. I mean, Oliver sometimes still pops into the bedroom, wakes you up. Isabel can still wake up sometimes during the night. So even now, you can still get nights where you don't get a full night's sleep. But in the beginning of when you're kind of first getting back into it, or obviously when you're on maternity leave and you're kind of still in the middle of bottle feeding and things like that, or breastfeeding, and you feel like a bit of a zombie the next day, it can be very hard. You just wake up and just, today's not the day. It's not happening. But I think for me, what I initially would do was, if was doing some form of exercise. If I had like an hour's worth of a gym workout, it would just be a no go for me. So instead, I would either go for a walk, and
Mhm,
it wouldn't seem as daunting, if that make I don't know why, that for me, that was just my thing. It didn't seem as daunting, it didn't seem as overly energetic, because I didn't have any energy anyway. So I feel like a nice walk outside in the fresh air was
mhm,
exactly what I needed. I'd get my steps up. Or if a run was on like the my schedule for the day, and going out for a 10K run was just not happening, I would go out for 15 minutes and I'd just see how I feel. And if I still felt the same, I'd go back. But 9 times out of 10, that first 15 minutes, I would feel pretty good and I'd just keep going. So rather than having that initial, "Oh my god," I would just kind of cut it down and just make it a bit easier and then go from there,
Mhm.
rather than completely cut the workout, because I would always feel better after it. It would always like boost my endorphins, give me a bit of lease of life to
Yeah,
get through the rest of the day. But yeah, it is very hard because it's so easy to just throw the towel in and sit on the couch and be a couch potato or get on with some cleaning that you've got to do. But 100% try not to, because you would feel so much better after the workout, so much better. And I
yeah.
always did. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Like you say,
Mm.
if you feel kind of overwhelmed or daunted, like
Mhm.
about how what workout you've got up, it's just like, okay, let's just start 10, 15 minutes. If it goes well, then we'll
Keep
get
going.
it. If it doesn't, we'll just turn back. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's just so much better, because like when you say, if you think you're tired, you feel sluggish, you've got a headache, you just can't be bothered, and instead of like going out for however long, you're like, I'm just gonna go down the road and see how I feel.
Yeah,
And yeah, don't like it, right? I'm going home. Oh, this is good. This keep going.
yeah.
Mm.
No, I love
Mm.
that. I love that.
Yeah.
And I guess just to kind of round it up and close it off, is there anything that you feel like you would like to kind of share any tips or, share any other experiences that you feel might be helpful for mums out there?
Go for it. Just go for it. Just do it. You will thank yourself in the long run, and take progress photos. I never did this ever. I hated it. And I if everyone else does, I totally get it, because I can't stand, even now, I'm not one for it. But oh my gosh, it helps so much. Like so much. Because when you feel like you are dipping and you get into a stage where you're not seeing any progress at all, trust me, there's progress. I felt that. And when I look back on my photos from when I first started with yourself to now, the difference is wild. And I didn't think there was any difference at all.
Mhm.
So, yeah, keep going. You've got this. Take progress photos and goals, write goals down, because goals are a great thing to have. It gives you something to work towards, it keeps your motivation high. Um, yeah, I think that will be it.
Oh,
Mm,
amazing. No, I love that. And I appreciate the insight
yeah.
into, like you say, just being a mum and how to
Mhm.
manage your kind of fitness goals alongside your family goals as well. So, yeah, no, that was awesome. Anything else that you want to just add before we round off? Or
No, thank you for having me. Thank you for asking me to do this. This was fun.
oh, it was, and it will be very helpful for a lot of people. So I appreciate your time as well.
No, I hope it does. I hope it helps someone at least.
Good, amazing. Well, I'll stop the recording, but yeah, appreciate you having you on.
No, thank you very much.